John Jones comes back from a 3-year layoff, wins the heavyweight championship of the world in his debut in the weight class against Cyril Gahn, dominates him. Didn't take very long. Gets booked in a huge, huge legacy fight against Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight of all time, to go down in the most historic arena in sports history, Madison Square Garden. Oh, no, 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 no. Not so fast. It can't all happen that perfectly, but hear me out. Sergei Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall, to a certain degree, and not from a legacy perspective, but what we're going to see in the cage, the storylines behind their careers, and how close they have been in this race to get to this chance. This is a more intriguing fight. And if you look at the X's and O's and what's going to happen in the cage, I think it's a more closely contested, fascinating fight as well. Let's talk about why. So ever since Tom Aspinall kind of catapulted into the UFC in 2020, I've had my eyes on him. And I've went as far as saying on my own Twitter that it's not a matter of if Tom Aspinall becomes the heavyweight champion of the world, it's a matter of when. And when could be this Saturday, November 11th, 2023, Madison Square Garden. Yes, it's for an interim title, but you get the gist. I have loved this guy ever since the second he stepped into the cage. And look at him. He is that next wave. He's that evolution of the heavyweight division. Him and Sergei Pavlovich both are that next generation of MMA fighter for the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall, the footwork, the speed, the precision and boxing that he carries is so good. You look at the rest of his game and it's so well polished. Yes, we haven't got to see it very much, but the small glimpses we have, the guy is just good everywhere. Dare I say he's great everywhere. And now let's talk about Sergei Pavlovich. He's the most dangerous fighter in the UFC. He is the scariest, most powerful, dangerous man walking on the UFC roster right now. I mean, look at the win streak. All of these people that he's beaten are just getting demolished in the first round without any sweat being broken on the side of Sergei Pavlovich. Is he going to do that to Tom Aspinall? Can he do that to Tom Aspinall? Because Tom has showed virtually no weaknesses. You see that loss there. Well, that's because his knee exploded on him 40 seconds, not even into his fight with Curtis Blades. Pavlovich's lone loss of his career and in the UFC was in his debut. I think it was in 2018. He debuted against Alistair Overeem. Are you kidding me right now? Both of these guys now 6-1 in the UFC. 18-1 for Sergey, 13-3 for Tom. This is a big time fight for the heavyweight division. This is a big fight to show what the future has to hold right now in this weight class. When these guys win, they look phenomenal. They look perfect. And to have two guys that have looked like that meeting each other is a really, really cool matchup to kind of wrap your head around here if you're a fight fan. And that's why I think there is a world where, of course, I want to see John Jones versus Stipe for legacy, the greatest of all time versus the greatest heavyweight of all time. If John beats Stipe, he's so just unquestionably the GOAT. You can't even make a debate for anybody else at that point. If Stipe beats John, holy crap, now all of a sudden Stipe launches himself into top 3 territory. If he beats the GOAT, wouldn't he even become the GOAT? I mean, it's all opinionated math, if you will, but there was a lot riding in that fight for legacy. But both guys had already done everything that needed to be done. They were just trying to add a couple notches to the resume. These two guys are fight by fight trying to get to where the John Joneses of the world have been, where Stipe has been. They want to chase those accomplishments, and to get there, they're fighting each other. They're crossing each other's path. That's the beautiful thing about this fight, and that's why I love this matchup so much. It stinks that it's a interim belt. It's they're just fighting for a number one contender spot. They want to book John and Stipe again next year, so what's the point of even putting an interim belt up for grabs? I don't know. That's a question for Uncle Dana Saturday night. And even though he's just going to say, well, we'll see what happens, kind of deal. But put the interim belt aside. This is a fantastic fight. And much like the main event in terms of like what I see happening, I have no idea. Both guys have looked so damn good and just dominate everybody that they fight. They've showed no weaknesses to where how can I say there's a world where Sergey can start Tom? Is there a world where Tom can start Sergey? I mean, I guess those worlds exist, but neither man has shown the ability to even get touched hardly in their fights. So who am I to say who's going to win this fight? Betting odds, again, like the main event, razor close. These are a little bit closer. Pavlovich minus 102, Tom a minus 118. Pretty much a pick 'em if you want to be honest. And I just think this is so great. Tom Aspinall looking to become, what would this be, the third champion out of England, and the first heavyweight champion to come from England. Michael Bisping is really doing a good job at making the importance of Tom to their nation feel impactful. Bisping wants to see Tom Aspinall get this belt back to England, and of course he wants that, for his fellow countrymen. And Sergei Pavlovich, to my knowledge, I don't know if there's been a Russian UFC heavyweight champion, especially in the modern era, but I don't think ever. So there's big implications on the line for him as well coming into this fight. Both men looking to do great things for their country here, for the sport, as the sport continues to grow and become a worldwide phenomenon. Wins by either one of these guys will continue to bring in new waves of talent for years and years to come. That's what these two represent. That next generation, that next wave, the young up and coming guys. That is what this fight is. And that's why I think it's just, it's so much different than John Jones and Stipe, but it's the magnitude of it is still very large. It really is. I can never say that it's bigger than John and Stipe. You can't get much bigger than that current day with the fighters in the UFC in terms of legacy. But legacy aside, this checks all the boxes for me. It really does. And I'm excited to see it play out. I would love to see Tom put it all together, get that gold belt around his waist. And for Sergey, though, I think it would be incredible if he would become a champion, because he would be the most just dominant, powerful, scary champion the UFC's had in a long time. I mean, the baddest man on the planet, Sergei Pavlovich, could wear that title very, very well. It would suit him so well. And the matchups, these guys being both in what will be their 8th UFC fight, there's still so many fresh faces. Yes, obviously a fight with like a John Jones or Stipe, is awesome. But you add in Surreal Gone, and like you go down the list of who can kind of still make their way. Jailton Almeida just had a big win. I'd like to see him fight Curtis Blades next. If you're Tom Aspinall, getting a rematch with Curtis Blades would be a big deal. I mean, there are very good matchups for both guys in the aftermath of this fight. Obviously, that's what we're going to discuss on Monday, depending on who is the champion of the world, the interim champion of the world, of course. How dare I call the winner of this fight the champion? But this is awesome. This is a championship double header, and weird circumstances surrounding both. We have a vacant title up top in the main event. We have an interim title here, so it's very weird, the double header that we're getting. But both are so great. They are so great. The storylines are there for both. The X's and O's of the fights are there for both. The wins and what can happen next for all four fighters are there. And that's why I think UFC 295 is not getting the respect it deserves. I know losing John and Stipe is a huge hit, but damn, this is still a big, big night. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Madison Square Garden wouldn't have it any other way. Give me all your thoughts on this heavyweight interim title fight. Who's going to take it home? Is it going to be Sergei Pavlovich continuing his just run of terror right now over the heavyweight division? Or is the fast as lightning Tom Aspinall, that kind of guy that has all the it factors around him, is he gonna get the title wrapped around his waist and make another championship for the country of England? Time will tell. We're gonna figure out Saturday night. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who's gonna win it all? Who's gonna take home that interim strap and go into 2024 with I'd say plenty of interesting options. We'll put it that way for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss a breakdown, a recap, MMA news, fight announcements, and everything in between. And I will see you guys in the next video recapping UFC 295.